Thank you for staying with us. In a global effort to raise awareness on breast cancer, October was designated as the Pink Month. Pink, yes, the color. So the Pink Month is a month where efforts to educate those concerned about the disease, including early identification and signs and symptoms associated. It is believed that 90% of early stage breast cancers are curable, often with treatments that conserve the breast. Every year, breast cancer kills more than 500,000 women. And in resource-poor settings, a majority of women with breast cancer are diagnosed at an advanced stage of disease, resulting in low survival rates. Approximately 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in her lifetime. Annual mammograms are recommended for women 40 and older, and for younger women with specific breast cancer risk factors. What those risk factors are, the early warning signs, and some of those things, let's discuss this morning with Mrs. Mujia Nimasha, who is founder and executive director, St. Cyril Cancer Treatment Foundation. Thank you for joining us this morning.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
First of all, why is it called Pink Month?
Well, pink is meant to be, when you have babies, they wear blue for boys and pink for girls, and I think that's where it originated from, because breast is considered a woman's organ, so to speak, and so that's why the pink.
Oh, okay. Because I thought maybe that.
But men can get breast cancer too.
Please don't bring that up yet. Scary enough. So why perhaps to even by way of educating those who may be hearing this for the first time in their lives, when we talk about breast cancer, cancer itself, what exactly are we talking about?
Well, cancer is a mutation of cells, pretty much. So that's why it can go to any part of the body. As long as the living cells, it doesn't go to the nails and it doesn't go to the hair because the cells are dead. But aside from that, it can travel to any part of the body because the cells mutate. Nobody knows how that originates. And once they mutate, one of the things that they do is that they continue to grow and they took over that organ without performing any function. So that's pretty much what it is. The cells, mutant cells that continue to grow and take over an organ, then they spread to other organs. And
what would even make a cell go rogue in the first place? Because that's the way it sounds.
Well, that's the million-dollar question we're still trying to answer. It's there have been factors that mitigate it sometimes, but we don't have actual pinpoint that if this, except for smoking, cigarettes, and lung cancer have been conclusively found, and then you have the HPV for the cervical cancer. But even that, you have people who have smoked all their lives and they don't get lung cancer, and you have people who've never smoked and they can get lung cancer. So it's still a lot of research is being done, a lot of money is being spent globally, but we still haven't come up with that answer. So what we're doing is ensuring that we reduce the factor when we find out that things may cause it, fatty globules and things like that. We try and watch people's diet, exercise, and all those things that would ensure that at least you have a fighting chance. And then, of course, the screening to ensure that once it's got, it can be treated early.
Okay, so perhaps to also ask, what are the likely risk factors for cancer? You know, especially breast cancer?
Well, breast cancer, like I said, smoking affects, it can be a predisposing factor for breast cancer. Fatty diet, obesity, those are some of the things that that can cause that are predisposing factors. They're not exclusive, but there's some of the things that can cause breast cancer.
You mentioned exercises the other time. Sounds like lifestyle can also be a factor.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Okay. So, in other words, anyone who lives a sedentary lifestyle, you go to the office, you sit down for 8 hours, and then you get up.
Yes.
That person is at risk
of breast cancer and a lot of other things. Okay. But it's just and it's not to go overboard with dieting or with exercise, just in moderation and constant, not exercising for 1 hour of intense exercise and then you don't do anything again for the next week and things. Just to live in moderation and not processed foods is also something else. Eating as close to the original
state of
vegetable or the diet as possible.
Is it also a genetic illness like hypertension?
There's the risk, especially with the breast cancer. There's the BRCA1, BRCA2. I'm sure everybody's heard about Angelina Jolie and what she did when she got the breast cancer diagnosis. But so it can, and that's what the research has done over the years in trying to see the risk of family members getting it. There's the familial risk, which is that if you have a relation who has had breast cancer, there's the risk of it coming to other members of the family, but it's not a guaranteed that one would have it, but you just need to be more cautious. If you've had it in your family, then the age you start doing the mammograms and the frequency also changes.
Clearly, treatment of cancer is a very, very costly thing. So perhaps the reason for the advocacy, for the awareness, is because, look, maybe if we prevent it, we won't get to the point of having to spend humongous. But yes. So what's the level, in your opinion, of awareness of breast cancer in Nigeria?
It's still very, very low. It's very low. Unfortunately, we don't have statistics, the actual numbers. So it's always an about, but it's not even, for a population of 200 million, we haven't even covered maybe 2% of the population. And that's with the strive of constant NGOs and government. A lot still needs to be done in terms of making people understand, not only understand what cancer is, understand their bodies, to know when it, like for the breast cancer, to do the self-breast examination and ensure that they can catch the cancer early. The fact that if they do feel something, to go to the doctor first and not to the church or the mosque and deliverance, and which is fine, but to make that the first port of call. Or if they go to the church first, for the pastor or the imam to say to them, go to the hospital, then come back and we'll pray that the surgeon does the right thing, the oncologist does the right thing. So there's a lot of ground to be covered. It's being covered very slowly, but because of our size and the girth of the issue, it's still very much in its fledgling stage.
So many grounds to cover in this conversation, but so let me try to and I also wish I could ask you to do a demonstration of how people can check, self-check before you go to other places, because 500,000 women around the world is not a small figure.
No.
And so how bad is it in Nigeria? Any ideas?
Well, it's in Nigeria and a lot of low and middle income countries, and I don't mind doing the self-exam. I mean, I have 3 children. I don't have any shame left. But in Nigeria, it's for when we that's in my our foundation did a survey. The percentage of, and it was a small survey. People educated and semi-literate, illiterate. Book-wise, maybe 5-6% had actually heard about. This was done about 5 or 6 years ago. 5 or 6% of them had actually heard about maybe 10% of them had heard of cancer, knew what to do, and only about 2% knew the breast examination and things like that. So it's still, like I said, it's almost nominal because the amount of people in any demographic, whether the educated who can educate themselves, maybe from, if you don't know, then it doesn't matter kind of thing. They're not aware. And then you have the educated who probably don't have the access to the information. And then you have those who are in the deep rural areas who don't have a clue, and they feel that it's somebody doing them, so to speak. And so it's very, 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 very high rate of cancer awareness illiteracy in our country.
Okay. Well, you talked about what many civil society organizations, NGOs are doing around this. What's your own foundation doing around that?
Our foundation is it's a cancer treatment foundation. Okay. I'm a radiation therapist, so I founded it because when people get diagnosed, it's one thing to get them aware, and then they get screened, and then they get diagnosed. And then what do you do with them? We don't have enough centers. We have maybe 5 centers working now for 200 million people, and WHO says we should have at least 200. I worked in the US, and in a city probably the size of Lagos, you probably find 50, 20, at least 20, maybe 50, but at least 20 cancer treatment centers where people can get treated. So that's why we decided to focus on treatment, because there are many other NGOs, working. We do awareness, we do screening as well, but also to go one step further to actually build cancer treatment centers where people can come for treatment and have more options than we have right now.
The humongous costs of treating cancer is definitely killing. Is it the same thing at your foundation?
We're self-sustaining. Okay. There's no, we can't be unrealistic about the cost of cancer, but what we try to do with our patients is try and get discounted drugs, go the extra effort, get discount from the drug manufacturers, help them to navigate the fundraising if they don't have any funds. So that's the extra thing, because we're an NGO that ensures. But yes, it's a self-sustaining center. So
now, you said you don't mind to, because perhaps one of the issues is people hear this kind of conversation that we're having now. They're wondering, okay, you say I should do self-check, and when it's not conclusive, or when I'm not sure, I go out. How do people do self-check? What do they look for?
Well, you can actually Google it. There's a lot of pictures, video on YouTube. There's a lot of information out there. But the whole point of it is that to ensure that you have a system, you pick a date that you do it consistently every month. For women who are still having their periods, don't pick it around your period time, because our breasts they tend to be swollen around that time. So maybe just maybe a week after your period, pick a time and then do the self-breast exam. It's really quite simple. All you do is put your arm up above your head. This you do in a standing position, in a lying down position, and then just start from one end and just press around from the outer edge inside into your breast. What this does is that it gets you familiar with your normal breast. So if anything is different, you will be able to notice quickly. If you notice there's something that is hard, immovable, or something that it's there 1 month and it feels as if it feels bigger the next month, or something like that, you can be able to know and go and see the doctor immediately. A lot of the times Majority of the time, it's maybe benign cyst, and as African women, we have very fibrous, dense breast, so it might be a lobule. So, but for that one time that it is breast cancer, you need to ensure that you go to the doctor.
You mentioned benign now, and there is benign lump, then there is malignant.
Yes.
Now, I also read, because I had reason to, that anyone who has had a benign lump is at risk of a malignant. Can you confirm that?
It's better if it's a benign lump. We always advocate it's better out than in, is what we. So whether if it's benign, let it be removed. It doesn't mean that, I mean, if it's removed, then it's out of you. Same thing with cancer of the cervix. If you see there's a pre-cancerous stage where you can actually treat the patient and then reduce the risk of cancer. Yes, so it's better for anybody, if they have a benign lump, for to have it removed than to keep it in and then be watching it.
Okay. I'd like you to make an appeal to women right now so that we can bring down these numbers and help them also to educate other people like them who need to know that cancer is preventable and it can be better managed so that we can reduce the fatal figures.
Okay. Well, I appeal to women, and I have to appeal to men as well, because I know Ayo doesn't want to accept it, but men can get breast cancer. But I appeal to everybody to please know your breast, do the self-breast exam, look it up. Everybody has a cell phone now that they can look things up on, or ask people, and just ensure that you do the self-breast exam once a month, understand your new body, and if anything is wrong, it's better to go to the doctor and find out rather than keeping it to yourself. Keeping it to yourself does not help. It doesn't help anybody, and it just reduces the risk, it increases the risk of the person getting the tumor getting bigger. So I appeal to you to please, please, please know your well breast so that you can know if anything happens that is wrong.
Well, we have to thank you very much this morning. At least that's out of the bag. So do the needful on your own self so that at least you live longer. Mrs. Moji Animashaun is founder and executive director, St. Cyril Cancer Treatment Foundation. Thank you again for your time this morning.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
So that's out of the bag. Do it. It's a whole month of cancer awareness, breast cancer awareness to be precise, all over the world. We're back after now. We're still talking health.